How to 3D print. In this video, I'm going to explain you in 3 steps how to print something from scratch. You can think about a 3D printer as a normal printer that you have at home. However, you have an additional dimension, which is the Z-axis, and instead of printing ink, you print plastic. It is that simple.
I see.
I post stuff regularly on things that I make, and this is an Iron Man arm. The good thing about 3D printer is you can print the whole model in one piece, including mechanical stuff or joints like this. There's a toilet paper holder here. We have Pokeballs that I printed. This Iron Man helmet took me so long to print. And it's not just the printing part, but also the processing afterward. For example, making the surface smooth, coloring and stuff like that. With a 3D printer, you can pretty much make anything that you can think of. There's actually only 2 things that you need. First, it's the printer itself, and secondly, it's the filament. So a filament is essentially the ink of a printer. Let's just have a look on Amazon what kind of printer you can get. 3D printer. You can easily get one for 270 euro. There's also one, now this is probably the one with the highest rating, and it costs roughly 180. Pretty much every printer more or less does the same job. We can also check the filaments. Filament, for example here, filament, PLA, or this one. Now here's an overview of the 3 steps, and as you can see, the printing is actually the very last step. And the first step is the modeling part, which is in my opinion the most challenging and most time-consuming part. And the second part is to use a software to translate this model into a code that the printer understands. And this usually takes less than a minute. Now the big question is, how do you get these models? And there are 2 ways to get. The first one is to create the model by yourself, which is the more difficult way because as a beginner you do not know how to do modeling. Now the second way is to download the files from a platform. Now this is probably done by most beginners because owners of these platforms usually does not require you to pay anything, so it's for free. And you download these models from well-known designers around the world. You can also download the files from these designers, modify them and print them. So this is something that I usually do. I do not want to redesign the whole thing from scratch, but I take the models, redesign or do slightly modification, and then I print them.
Good for you.
This website is called Thingiverse, and it is the most well-known platform for free models, and it works very simple. All you need to do is to just type the keywords in this search bar. For example, let's just find something about Germany. So I type Germany and you can see everything that is related to this keyword. And let's just download this little eagle. And the good thing is you don't have to register to download everything. So you can just basically hit on the download file. And there you go. STL file, now this stands for Standard Triangular Language, and this is essentially the 3D model files that you need for the printing. The second step is to use the slicing software to transform the 3D model into the machine code that the 3D printer uses. And to do that, I'm going to use this software called Slicer or PrusaSlicer. If you are a beginner, you don't even have to know how to use the software. All you need to do is to drag and drop the STL file. And once it's done, you can see this is our printer. And let's just say we want to make it 15% out of the whole thing. So assuming this is our printer, it's going to be like this big. You also select what kind of material you're using. Now there are a lot of predefined settings, and for us, for example, when we are using PLA, which I showed you before when we checked the Amazon website, PLA is probably the easiest way to print. Then you select PLA and the rest you just leave it as it is, and you can click on slice, and then it's going to transform this into this machine code. And here you can see this is done within 10 minutes. And once you are okay with the setting, you can export the whole G code. Depends on your printer, but usually you use a SD card. And for example, here's already my SD card plugged in there. Germany, G code. And there you go. Now we can go to the printer and print the actual file. we need to hook this roll of PLA into this machine before we can start the actual printing job. And you can usually read on the labels how much degree you need in order to operate that. And also depends on what kind of material you're using. In this case, it's 200 degree roughly, but other material may require more. So first we need to heat it up, and in order to do that, we can just tell the system preheat, and remember we are using PLA, and that's right, so we just click PLA. And here you can read the temperature. It has already reached the desired temperature of 215 degree. You don't even have to be exactly the temperature, can go a little bit upper, it does not matter. So I put the roll on top of the printer. This is the end, and all we need to do is now to just put this in and then tell the printer to load the file, to load the material. So here you can see load filament. Now you can see that it's slowly coming out and it's still loading. And at some point it will stop like now, and it will ask you, is it clear? And you say, yes, it is. Now remember the file that we save on the SD card. Let's just take our card and we put it here. And we can say print from SD. And remember we named the file Germany, so it's called Germany G code. And there you go. Now it seems like everything works fine and it does its job. And according to the software, it takes 10 minutes to finish the print. So let's just wait and see. But you can see it's very fun actually to look at it. And you can also see here the remaining time. So it's 8 minutes left, 11% done, 22 now, 96%, there you go, it's done. Now this is our eagle. I'll use this. There you go. This is our little eagle. You can see the layers actually. To summarize everything, first you create your own model or you download it from some platform, and then you use the slicing software to transform the STL file into a G code, and then you just plug it into a printer, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and find this very, very useful. And if you have any questions, feel free to write it in the comments below. See you next time.